Okay, let's talk about Australia. Everyone knows Australia is actively trying to kill you. You've got snakes, spiders, sharks, and the sun itself. But in 1932, the biggest threat to the continent wasn't venomous. It was ridiculous. This is the true story of the Great Emu War. And yes, it was an actual declared military operation. Let's set the scene. It's 1932. The Great Depression is hitting hard. A lot of Australian veterans from World War I have returned home. The government gave them land in Western Australia to grow wheat. These guys were tough soldiers turned farmers. They were struggling, the economy was bad, and they were promised subsidies that never came. But then, a new enemy arrived. Migration season began, and suddenly 20,000 emus appeared on the horizon. Now, if you don't know what an emu is, imagine a violent feathered dinosaur that runs at 50 kilometers per hour and has a brain the size of a walnut. 20,000 of them. They didn't just eat the wheat, they destroyed the fences. And when the fences broke, thousands of rabbits got in too. It was total chaos. The farmers were losing their minds. They didn't call pest control. They didn't call the police. They went straight to the Ministry of Defense. They met with the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pierce. These farmers said, "Look, we are veterans. We know how to shoot. Just give us machine guns." And surprisingly, George Pierce said yes. He thought it would be great target practice for the Army. He even sent a cinematographer from Fox Movie Tone to film the glorious victory. They expected to mow down the birds in a few hours. Enter our main character, Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery. He led a squad armed with 2 Lewis automatic machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Major Meredith was confident. He probably thought, they are birds. How hard can this be? November 2nd, 1932. The first battle. The troops traveled to the town of Campion. They spotted about 50 emus. The soldiers got into position. Meredith gave the order to fire. The machine guns roared, and the emus just scattered. It turns out emus don't stand still waiting to be shot. They ran in every direction. The first volley missed almost everyone. When the dust settled, maybe a dozen birds were down. The rest were miles away. Meredith was annoyed, but not defeated. 2 days later, they set up an ambush near a dam. More than 1,000 emus were coming for water. This was it, the perfect trap. They waited until the birds were close, point-blank range. They opened fire, and then the gun jammed. I am not kidding. After just a few shots, the gun jammed. The emus saw the commotion and ran away. Result? 0 casualties for the birds. By this point, Major Meredith was starting to respect the enemy. He famously said that if his division had the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, they could face any army in the world. He noted that the emus were like tanks. They could take a few bullets and keep running. Also, the birds had a strategy. Observers claimed that each group of emus had a leader, a tall bird that would stand watch while others ate. When the leader signaled, they would split into small, chaotic groups, making it impossible to aim with a heavy machine gun. So Meredith came up with a new plan: speed. He mounted one of the machine guns on the back of a truck. A brilliant idea, right? Drive alongside them and shoot. Well, no. The ground was so rough that the truck was bouncing like a kangaroo. The gunner couldn't aim at anything. Actually, he was too busy holding on for his life so he wouldn't fall out. Also, the emus were faster than the truck. And then an emu got tangled in the steering wheel of the truck and they crashed into a fence. You cannot make this stuff up. After a week, the media started making fun of the army. Parliament was discussing the Emu War. They asked, "Is there a medal for this war?" And someone shouted, "Yes, but only for the emus." On November 8th, the army withdrew. The official report was humiliating. They had used 2,500 rounds of ammunition. The number of confirmed kills was debatable. Maybe 50, maybe 200. The cost of each dead bird was astronomical. Major Meredith insisted that his men suffered no casualties, which is true, but losing a war against birds without getting hurt is almost more embarrassing. But wait, there's a sequel. After the army left, the emus came back. Of course they did. The farmers begged for help again. So on November 12th, the Minister of Defense approved a second campaign. Meredith went back. This time he was more efficient. In December, they were killing about 100 birds a week. By the end, they claimed 986 kills with 10,000 rounds. That is exactly 10 bullets per bird. Better, but still not a great ratio. Eventually, the government realized that shooting them one by one was stupid. They introduced a bounty system. They just paid people to hunt them. This actually worked. Thousands of emus were claimed by locals over the next year. But history will always remember the Great Emu War of 1932, the only time in history when a professional army with machine guns fully mobilized against a flock of flightless birds and lost. The emus are still out there, by the way, waiting, watching, and if you listen closely to the Australian wind, you can still hear them laughing at Major Meredith. Thanks for watching.